is all over the news right now, but most people have no idea what it actually is and where it came from, or why it has the power it has. So we're doing a deep dive. This is part 1 of a 5-part series, and by the end, you're going to understand exactly how we got here. Welcome back to Civics 101. Over the next 5 parts, we're breaking down from the ground up. Why now? Because what's happening with right now is escalating. There are protests, there's controversy over the use of force, there are fundamental questions being raised about how this agency operates. But you can't understand what's different about right now if you don't understand where this agency came from and what it was supposed to be. So we're gonna do this right. Part 1 will be the origin story, and in parts 2 through 4, we'll break down what's happening now, the operations, the numbers, the policy changes. And in part 5, we'll break down your rights and what you can actually do about it. So let's start at the beginning. Here's what most people don't know. ICE didn't exist before 2003. This agency is only about 20 years old. So what happened before ICE? Immigration enforcement was handled by the Immigration and Naturalization Service, or INS. It was part of the Justice Department, and it did everything from border enforcement, interior enforcement, processing visas, handling citizenship application, everything under one roof. And INS had major problems. It was bureaucratic, underfunded, and frankly just not very effective. There were long backlogs for legal immigration. Enforcement was inconsistent, and there were serious concerns about security vulnerabilities in the system. Then September 11th, 2001 happened. The 9/11 attacks exposed how the hijackers had exploited the weaknesses in the immigration system. Several of the hijackers had overstayed their visas. Others had entered on student visas but never enrolled in school. The system failed to track them, failed to flag them, and failed to stop them. In the aftermath, national security became the lens through which the government reorganized itself. The question wasn't just, how do we prevent another terrorist attack? It was, how do we completely restructure government to prioritize security? In 2002, Congress passed the Homeland Security Act. This was the biggest reorganization of the federal government since World War II. It created the Department of Homeland Security and brought 22 different federal agencies under one umbrella, all focused on protecting the homeland. Part of that reorganization was that INS was completely dissolved. Its functions were split into 3 agencies. The first one was Customs and Border Protection, or CBP. They handle enforcement at the border. Then we have U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS. They handle services like visas, green cards, citizenship applications. And finally, we have ICE. This was a brand new agency, and they handle enforcement inside the country, so detention, removal operations, and investigation. But here's what made ICE different. It was given a unique combination of civil and criminal enforcement powers. So that means it enforces immigration violations, which are civil matters, but it can also investigate serious crimes like human trafficking, drug smuggling, child exploitation, and other transnational criminal activity. When ICE was created, the stated mission was clear: focus on national security threats and public safety risks. The idea was that this agency would target the most serious cases, so that's terrorists, violent criminals, and threats to the country. But even from the beginning, there were concerns. Civil liberty groups worried about giving one agency this much power, and immigration advocates questioned whether enforcement and services should have been split up. And some people asked, if this agency was created in a moment of fear, what happens when that fear drives the mission beyond its original scope? And that's exactly what we need to talk about. Because ICE's role isn't fixed. It changes based on who's in charge and what policies they push. Under different presidents, ICE has focused on different priorities. The Obama administration said they would concentrate on people with serious criminal convictions. They called it felons, not families. The first Trump administration dramatically expanded enforcement across the board. And the Biden administration tried to narrow priorities again, at least on paper. But now, under the current Trump administration, we're seeing another major shift. The agency's mandate might have started with post 9/11 national security concerns, but how is it actually being used today? That's when things get controversial, and that's when things get urgent. Because right now, ICE operations look very different than they did even a year ago. In part two, I'm going to tell you about a shooting that most of you have heard about in Minneapolis that has sparked national outrage and has raised serious concerns about ICE's use of force. A US citizen, a mother of 3, was shot and killed after dropping her kid off at school. Follow for part two, it is important.